I'm in this at the moment. And I had some interesting things happen today. Some drive by with very real changes that I noticed. Then there's this afternoon, um, a next gen who I call him a spiritual walker. Um, he came over and gave me a hug. He's the only child in anywhere that comes up and actually touches me. But I already okayed that with his father the last time. I said, I don't know, like, I don't touch other people's children, so is that acceptable? Or, like, only if you say it's all right. And there was somebody who was playing soccer. Um, there was actually two dads. I would call them dads, maybe brothers at the park. I don't really know. But their father figures to their own children. One playing soccer. My son was in that group, and then another father with his son in like the fitness area, trying to and coaching their sons along, which I thought was really really nice. Um, so that was like an unusual thing for today, but a nice unusual. Um, and I was just there. I'm still having on the way home. Now the hospital's instructions yesterday with the HEMO, like hemorrhagic whatever that I'm experiencing at the moment. They said I needed to go for an outside diagnostic test with my regular doctor that was there after the hospital instructions rather than completing and giving me answers at the hospital, which would have been the way that I would have done it from a business perspective. They said I had to go. So I have the NYU staff, I have the Northwell staff, and then there's the staff at Catholic Health Systems. Just so I have a really grand schematic of just who is participating in a manner that's acceptable and who's dragging out a possible cancer diagnosis and waiting and counting down my white clock to force me into some cancer diagnosis, to make my health paradigm shift so badly. It's one thing to pay through the nose. My grandmother seems to have paid through the nose she never drank a day in her life, my mother said. Um, and she had 10 kids, never drank, did not have alcohol in the house, dry house. As did my mother. She was a dry house. I kept a dry house until Tia Fria 1975 showed up with all sorts of new versions of paying through the nose. After I was already slashed by the 1976 whatever went along with that set of problems, which I should have never been forced into, but here we are. You want to know what you like paying through the nose, taxation without representation? Uh huh. So now Teofrio brings a whole nother paradigm shift to what does that mean. So now I'm talking to this. So I call and the NYU representative for Woolwick. We'll call him out. WEWULWICK at Langone, NYU, and their set of shitbags. And the representative, really nice, the first one I called. She's like, I'll put everything in. She said, and now Northwell yesterday said that they were releasing me and that I had to follow up with the other doctor. I told them that it was NYU. So the doctor stood on the side of the bed and he said, listen, he said, my suggestion is you call the doctor and you say that you're in the hospital and you try to bypass and you try to schedule the diagnostic immediately. I said, oh, that's a good idea. I will try that. Thank you. So I tried that. NYU is calling me back saying that I have to have a doctor's appointment first and then for the histogram. And I said to her, I got upset. And I said, listen to me. I said, I will. She's like, and I said, what is the point of having to see Woolwick first and then scheduling this diagnostic test? I'll see him after the diagnostic test is completed and his read on the situation. And she said, that's not how we do it. And I said, so you're saying that I need to come into your office, see him face to face, for him to read the paper that says I need a histogram from the doctors at the hospital? I said, it makes no sense. I said, if it's a cancer diagnosis and every minute counts, and she's like, well, I can't do this for you. She's like, you're going to have to wait till, I think she said Monday. Today's Thursday. So now I have to wait more days to speak to the doctor at Langone to ask him to set up this diagnostic exam that I need. Fuck you all. No, thank you. This is the level of disgust that the healthcare system here is working off of. After my grandmother already had MS and Lou Gehrig's disease and some form of ALS, they gave her horse pills and she paid through the nose, never drank a day in her life, never smoked a cigarette, never a drink in her life. My mother never smoked a day in her life, never drank. That's it. There is no reason why third generation female in New York should be paying through the nose at all. One Big Bird grandpa representative and one something else. Granddaughter deserved better than what's currently going on, even in this day and age. It's unacceptable. So now I'm watching and I'm seeing there's an NFL mention today about Greenbay. They go by this big G. I think this is like Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback. I don't know. Favre was at one point, and now they've got some Aaron Rodgers. I only know him because he showed the foot and he was wearing Brady's number. So I'm like, what does that mean? So then today they're like, what does it mean? Oh, right. One of their representatives, not in the quarterback league of whatever their employee roster is, but someone not important that plays, I don't know what, in the nobody cares. He's got a shoe line, SHOU. And I'm like, deceptions, zapatos. Wait a minute, scarpa. D'accord. Shoes, like just shoes. De allora, the so-and-so wants to know into who's who. I'm just curious what this could possibly mean. At what are they moving and how? Why is he getting a shoe line? Like shoes like the arms, legs, and the navels use? Is he raising money for, is that a campaign? Why are they handing out shoe lines in branding and advertising? I'm just curious. Grandpa's Big Bird granddaughter wants to know at National Treasure. So this is what it looks like as far as, what are they signaling here?
Welcome back to Jimmy 3, everybody. We're back now with a Green Bay Packers great Dancing with the Stars winner. Now, shoe designer. I'm talking about Donald Driver. He's teaming up with...
I've never danced with this man. I don't know what stars he's dancing with
his son to teach young men the importance of putting their best foot forward. Take a look.
As a kid, I've always grew up thinking I would.
Now, play on words. The man's name is Donald Driver. He's a receiver, no less. Receiver of what, Donald? And who's driving? Is that a golf reference for sports and tie-ins and overlapping sections of what are you like, where are you putting? I mean, like, again, paying through the nose and taxation without representation is inquiring at like Fifth Inquisition level while I'm sitting here in some series of rooms, and some really obstructive things happened along the way that seems to be misguided and missteering the mystique of like Superhero League at Supra and Superior at Mother Superior.
I would always one day have my own shoes. Not in a million years thinking this would even be possible. I told Christian, I said, let's do this. Let's create a shoe line to where we now give young men an opportunity to be more presentable when they step out.
I wanted to partner with my dad on this. Is just
Now, this is this new generational wealth gap that's causing a real problem with new money with me. I'm already having problems in the area for which my grandpa served a big bird. My mother and my grandmother served by giving 10 beautiful children to this world. And then my mother gave one, which is myself. And I am here. But now I'm being taxed through the nose without representation. How is that possible? How could anybody in good conscience be functioning anywhere?
just because I had so many ideas and creativity in my head of how I wanted things to be and how I wanted these shoes to be and how I saw that these shoes could have an impact on their people.
I remember getting to Greenbay, getting on them.
Are these like these silent campaigns that nobody's talking, the silent but deadly killers? Just curious. Because I'm in a territory that is Christian, that stands for Christian values, that has a Last Supper requirement, has a Book of Mormon, just so another language doesn't feel that they've been slighted in any way. But there is real prowess and there is real crusade work that goes on at some level with sworn allegiances and sworn enemies, for which I have no idea who's who in that category, nor how to keep them safe and at arm's length away from me so I don't get hurt. But staying within a circle of trust of it's really difficult at this age when they got the first part so violently wrong. I see that Liz Truss stepped down today. She's at some number 10 in some United Kingdom. I'm still in a president's daughter or a general's daughter kind of a way. So that gets confusing to how is the sports tied in? How is the great beyond keeping itself balanced and on a healthy diet? I didn't agree to pay through the nose. I also did not agree to either of the 1976 or 1975 problems when there was a very specific person picked. I agreed, he agreed, and we were supposed to be just fit. No idea how or what went wrong, but here we are. That's a big piece of the puzzle. Now, this was on See the BS this morning. This is what they put up there for I don't know what reason, because I don't know the conversation that led up to this display of someone's acknowledging something. And does it say BFC? SFC? I don't know. I never even... Slap Fighting Championship. Bet online. I mean, it looks like they're off to the races and they're betting on horses. It looks like it everywhere. I mean, that's a whole addiction problem all within itself.
It's become a viral sensation over the past few years, and now UFC President Dana White got approval for it to be a licensed athletic competition in Nevada.
Slapping is about to become an official sport.
They call it an athletic competition. How is there athleticism in smacking one another? I just don't get it.
And those big dudes might be the champs for now, but it's only a matter of time before the sport is dominated by immigrant moms. Fit on their couch! Fit on their couch!
And that goes back to slapping lawsuits on one another, like as if that's some money-making schematic. I mean, I've heard people have gotten very wealthy off of it. No idea how that works. Seems a little bit too generous at new wealth. I'm really not benefiting from it, and it seems dangerous at law-keeping, law-abiding, and how they're making this whatever just drawn out with paying through the nose to increase somebody else's whatever. And it's really becoming a problem, to the fact where now I can see the like the liver spot. I mean, there's some serious health stuff that's wrong. The health paradigm in the local area. I'm a national treasure. They're not treating me such. I grew up in a glen. It was a specific way for a specific reason, for a specific man who's missing out on me for certain, as I am on him at the moment. We've had no time together. They've taken it and wasted it on whatever the heck this all is.
This morning's Eye Opener is presented by Progressive, making it easy to bundle insurance.
All right, as a child of immigrants, I'm glad Trevor said it, because I was going to say it.
You can relate?
Oh boy, can I?
I don't like this slapping thing.
I don't like it at all.
I never heard of it.
I thought it was done with tortilla, but I guess like...
No, I don't like this.
It sounds safer to me.
I don't like this. We welcome you to CBS Mornings today. We are talking to some really big names. No slapping at all, I promise. I really don't like that, including the one and only Dwayne Johnson. Well, nobody is slapping him. He stars in the new movie Black Adam, and he told us why that powerful character has always been his model of a superhero.
I grew up loving Superman.
You did?
I did. I love Superman, and I've always been a DC boy from day one. I love Superman, but...
Now, is that a Washington, D.C. boy? I'm just curious. Divine Comedy wants to know.
But I really didn't know how I could relate to Superman. When I first saw a Black Adam comic book and I saw the cover, he looked intense. He had brown skin, and he was a superhero. I said, that's my guy. I want to be him.
Yeah. Newsflash, Dwayne, you are him. Johnson explains how it took 15 years to make this movie.
Very cool. Plus, the stars of the new CBS police drama East New York will be here in studio. Jimmy Smits and Amanda Warren are real-life New Yorkers.
Now, what called me that I got upset with is something that looks like this, who called me to prolong a possible diagnosis after I've already spent so many years in the field with my health deteriorating and without representation, and they just keep prolonging it. But she got a starring role. She got to play NYPD. I mean, this goes back to same time frame where someone else is in my real house playing good nurse, which is not what it sounds to be. It's like some horror show, one after the next, between a slasher and a whole nother psychological thriller, which is not in a good way. Not when you're living with it, through it, and in it.
And they are playing NYPD commanders. We will ask them about filming in their hometown and what makes this series stand out.
I'm so excited about them.
And she reminds me a lot of this new, I don't know her name, whatever the police commissioner is. I think that they mention her. I think at 12 o'clock they mention her. She has like that very... whatever. I'll look on the 12 o'clock news, see if I can find it. Now, same time, I can't get proper health care. Here's Ashwin Vasan, claims to be commissioner of New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. I didn't hire him. I don't know who put him in some puppet management, whatever. I don't know what he's associated with in the city. I don't know what university. I don't know what health paradigm. I don't know what pharmaceutical company. I don't know what any of the shoes or the sports or any of the other crap that they do, that this goes on while I'm dying in the field and hurt.
Doctor. It's that time of year again for your annual flu shot. And with COVID-19 still around, it's just as important to stay up to date with your COVID-19 vaccinations. COVID-19 and the flu have similar symptoms like fatigue, body aches, headache, sore throat, congestion, and runny nose. And both can make you...
As this part of his service announcement that he's here? Great, because it's not doing anything just because he puts his face up there and puts his name to it. Just saying. It's just, now I know who the target management was while I'm sitting here getting the runaround, paying through the nose after 2 generations already paid through the nose, never got paid, not properly, not for their contribution, as people just seem to shift the monetary and leadership funds away, but there still is 12 people seated at that Last Supper. There is a czar somewhere. Tsar. And there is a star reporting in the field still. Those things carry immense weight, especially when they're in the field and what claims to be doing a good job or some kind of management or installed itself by I don't know what means is hurting the children or holding them in some dead-end pattern, which is not acceptable. Because that means somebody else is getting punished somewhere. Oh, this is interesting. Daycare worker scaring the children with a mask. And then it goes to a landmark initiative. I'm like, landmark, really? That's an interesting use of 2 words between drug lord, warlord, landlord, and the good Lord that has a seat at the table as a Mary and a Jesus with 12 disciples and apostles that has a very clear line of sight on what they look like. And also, at some point, 2 of those pieces at that Last Supper had a meeting or a run-in in Manhattan at a landmark in their teens.
Ahead on Eyewitness News at noon, the daycare workers facing charges after a video of them wearing Halloween masks and scaring children, traumatizing them, went viral.
And a landmark initiative by the NYPD that allows New Yorkers to ask questions to New York City's police commissioner.
To ask questions directly. Let's go to that, shall we? Now here it refers to her as a PC. Now, I've only heard the word PC as politically correct. I've never heard it used with some kind of police commissioner.
New Yorkers will now have a chance to ask NYPD Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell questions about public policy and safety. The initiative, called Ask the PC, will allow people to submit questions to her on the NYPD's Instagram page every week. So we'll provide a video response. The NYPD says Ask the PC will strengthen the understanding between the public and the police. So
no, it won't, because that requires a computer. And some of us are forbidden from using computing, especially with other arrow whatever going on and people being forced into some food plan and paying through the nose in ways that they didn't agree to. Just so whatever this is has some landmark initiative. Anybody call Dad? Now, in some area, an alcoholic defined as somebody who drinks alcohol regularly, over long periods of time, somebody who can't stop drinking, that's what an alcoholic is, or has been defined as far as social people that I've been around. A drink every now and again does not make an alcoholic. The problem is this drinking through the nose by inhaling alcoholic vapors. If in a smog situation with a high traffic area, it is hard to control. It is hard to avoid. And as this, whatever, I mean, like to control the traffic going through your local neighborhood, unless there's some form of environmental authority rerouting traffic purposely, I don't know how one could do it. But that smog is alcohol based, it's ethanol, it's the great distilleries from somewhere. It's their main source of income. I get some people only look at the bottom line, the bottom dollar, and they don't really care about the health paradigm. I'm stuck where it matters, but I can't get out of it. I didn't choose to live here. I'm not all right with inhaling alcohol vapor, but I'm also in a position where I can't unlock my room and get out and escape this with my children.
Jen, welcome back to CBS Mornings, where we're talking about a new film.
They put me in with 2 dead-end marriages, but yet my star requirement was something completely different and agreed to be something completely different with a very key set of whatever in whatever. So I don't understand how they were allowed to get away with a slashing incident, taxating me like for years in some situation and holding me here. Seems very passive aggressive, and at times it's really, really aggressive.
Film inspired by the true story of a critical care nurse who helped stop a serial killer. That serial killer, Charles Cullen, in 2004, pleaded guilty to killing 29 hospital patients, and the real number may even be higher. He admitted to doing it by injecting deadly doses of medicine in their saline drips, and said there were more victims likely over his 16-year career.
Now, Tiafrio and the company that he keeps that are really frightening, some of them, not in an intimidation way, but in a, they got a few screws loose, some of them. And I don't know who's creeping when, who's night crawling when, who purposely drugs women to hurt them when, who's creeping into kids' rooms at night when, but yet I can't get away. So in that relationship, at the same time, comes off the backs of another dangerous relationship where in the middle of the night, on top of me trying to crush my hyoid bone, I reported it to the doctors and the authorities. And this comes years after teenage disappearance and then being put in the back of my father's car. So like there's this local area, whatever's been going on that nobody speaks of, and I don't have field representatives to speak to. Nobody's checked on the national treasure being myself and asked me if I'm all right. Nobody asked me if I need a hand. Nobody gave me a hand up, a hand out. Nobody gave me the hand off directly to the person that was agreed upon in the beginning. There was a one night, whatever, 2 people in the building, 1 outside the building, and some whatever. That's the way it was supposed to go. Anything else is unacceptable. And here we are.
More than just the 29. That's a huge number. He's serving multiple life sentences. His fellow nurse and friend, Amy Lochran, She helped stop him. She worked with police and she got him to confess. This was crucial.
Last hour, I saw the labs and your troponins high, but it's trending down. So you're good. You're okay. You're lucky. Could have been a lot worse. Go home.
Just so Felix knows, someone who was assigned to me, I picked up, I think at the Ronkonkoma train station, because he came out from the city. Brought him to his doctor appointment, waited in the car in the parking lot at night in Port Jeff, and then drove him to my house. We had dinner that I prepared and made. Dave Frio walked through 1975, walked through the house, and then back out. So Felix was there. Felix then followed back up with me. He tried to tell me a story about something personal. I didn't go down that road. Not my MO. It's on my file. It's already documented. I shouldn't have to say a word. It should just get corrected. And then there should be some kind of line of, we took care of it. But I know it hasn't, because he's still lingering. Not Felix, but the problem.
Hey, sir, how are you awake?
Yeah.
Bring me to church farm. Yeah. I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, she should stay overnight.
Yeah, we got this.
I want to leave AMA. You sure?
You're gonna drive her home. Make sure she's looked after.
AMA, now is at the American Music Awards. I'm just curious, because country and hip-hop seem to have some, I don't know, obsession with themselves.
Thank you. We're good. Thank you.
And the whole movie is like that. You will watch every minute of it. You
Yeah.
will love it. We're joined now by Jessica Chastain and Amy Lochran. Wow, Amy, that's a real scene from your life.
It is, yes. Mm-hmm.
What was it like? And Jessica, welcome back. You won an Oscar since the last time we saw you.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about. You do a wonderful job portraying Amy on camera or on screen.
It was a huge honor to get to tell
It was a huge honor. Excuse me. I get to be played by Jessica Chastain. Like,
right.
wake me up. Wake me up.
That part's a dream, obviously, but then the story itself, though, I mean,
It's a nightmare.
nightmare. It is a nightmare. What was it like? I could see you getting emotional just.
For me watching it, it's just trauma over again, which I know some level they just love to re-traumatize, kind of like the adult inside of the daycare just putting on that scary mask and scaring the hell out of the innocent children that their parents aren't there and whatever.
As I was reading the story, the summary, and then just looking at that clip, what was it like to delve into all of this?
Well, for me, of course, reliving it is very triggering. It was 20 years ago, so I have had a lot of time to process it. However, I have only been able to watch it once. It's pretty triggering. And Eddie Redmayne does such an incredible job truly channeling my friend Charlie that I hear his voice and it's my friend Charlie all over again. The detectives, Danny Baldwin and Tim Braun, we were with them last night and they said the same thing. They actually had to sit back a little bit because he sounds exactly like Charles Cullen.
Jessica, I don't know Amy, but I thought she did such a wonderful job portraying you and what you must have been going through. I mean, I was watching you, Jessica, just do the IV and the way that you were handling the patients. Like you did seem to me to be a real nurse.
Well, we went to nurse school.
You and Eddie did?
Yeah, we spent 2 weeks. We shot this at the end of the pandemic, so we couldn't really go to nurse school. So they made one for us, and we learned it all. We learned IVs. I started with the first day of the history of nursing. We learned about Florence Nightingale, but the compressions. That's the one thing I asked. I said, what is the thing Hollywood always gets wrong? And I was told the compressions.
Did she get that right?
Yeah, and in the screening, that was the...
So some of us can't go to real school. Why? Because our health might be in jeopardy based on what's going on in the great beyond and who we're supposed to be married to in the future while he's going through whatever special training he goes through in life. I mean, there was some other meeting I kind of sort of, but not really remember. When I was working at Genevieve's, Tim White, not the one that Anthony knows, a different Tim White, invited me to Eaton's Neck. I brought some yellow sleeping bag because he wanted some kind of camping gear. So I brought this bright yellow sleeping bag with mallards on the inside. They were Lindenless. So talk about memorable whatever. I don't think I left with them though. And there was some flatbed truck that pulled up. And then one person I was very interested in, I was wearing white overalls and something else with some like heads or whatever. We sat in the back of the pickup truck, and then he had friends. Brick wall wasn't the only whatever, and whatever. But I kind of sort of, but not really remember that. For whatever that means. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.